Another day, another PC build. But if you're wondering why this doesn't look familiar to you, you'll be right, because this ain't a gaming PC. Instead, this is gonna be my home lab. So I'll run through the parts first and discuss why I have them here. Let's start with the motherboard. So this is from a brand called Anrevo. So this is one of those Chinese brands that tries to sell us all-in-one solution for NAS or home labbing needs. As a matter of fact, for this motherboard, it already comes pre-installed Intel 11th Gen chip, which is called N5105, which is 4 cores, 4 threads, max boost of 2.9 gigahertz. And you might also notice that the fan is too small and the heatsink isn't that large, because for any home labbing or NAS needs, the lower the power, it is better. Of course, that depends on your use case. If you need higher power or more powerful chips, then that might something that you should look for. However, for my needs, this is more than enough. Low power. And as a matter of fact, we have here only 4 pins for the CPU. And included in the low powerness of this motherboard, we have here SODIMM slots, which is usually exclusive for laptops because they need lower power consumption in order for your battery to last longer. Also, you might notice this comes with 2 NVMe slots. They're both Gen 3. And weirdly enough, you have here a USB inside the motherboard itself. Now, you might be wondering, what are you going to insert in here? It's because some NAS solutions or software, they use USB sticks as your boot drive. So it will be here permanently. So again, it's a use case that you might have, so they have it here. Also, it has 6 SATA ports, which I won't be populating right now. It also has the front panel connector, I think another chassis fan, USB 2, I believe. And you have here, weirdly enough, 4 LAN ports. I think you can aggregate your ports in your switch so that you can utilize everything, but generally 1 is enough. You have USB 3 slots here and 2 USB slots here, 1 HDMI and 1 display port. Since this is Intel, this has built-in iGPU, so I can utilize that and I don't need any video cards. And you might notice it doesn't have slot for it because it won't be needing it, because this, for NAS use cases, this chip is actually more than enough. For the storage, I will be using here the Samsung 970 EVO 250 gig as my boot drive. This is Gen 3, by the way, and was harvested from my previous PC. Also, I have here another NVMe drive, which is the Lexar NM620. This is 2 terabyte and will be used mainly for everything else, like storing my files for my image backup, also for hosting my video files using Jellyfin. Hopefully this will be enough. I will have another phase wherein I'll be using hard drives instead, but for my use case right now, this should be plenty. As for the RAM, I have here 2 sticks of 32 gig SODIMM DDR4 RAM. I don't know the exact frequency for this one because it doesn't matter. This is an 11th Gen Intel and it doesn't really care about how fast your RAM is. Also, do take note that according to the research I've done, there are some motherboards that uses the same Intel processor, N5105, which they don't work if they use dual rank RAM. And it's unfortunate that for some cases it won't work, but in mine, when I've tested, they actually work. So in order to tell whether it is a single rank or dual rank RAM, you will only have chip in one side and none on the other. Now, I can't explain to you as to why they don't work, but that's what I've read. But thankfully in my case, since I already bought this after reading or before reading Mine works, so I'm actually fine in this case. So be warned that it can be an issue for some, so for that, you should be very careful. As for the power supply, what I have here is an FSP SFX Pro 450 watt bronze rated. Since it's an SFX, it's just small, and this much power is actually too much for my use case. I can even live up to 350 watts, but that's what I got. Now, this is not modular nor semi-modular, so all the cables are all together. So for those that I won't be using, I'll just tidy them up. As for the Molex, I will be using them someday, but for now, I'll just tidy them up. I'll be using the CPU pin, but only the 4 pin, and the 24 pin for the motherboard. As for the 4 pin, I will be needing only one, as you've seen earlier in the motherboard, and it doesn't really need that much power, so I'm good. Let's talk about accessories. So first off, I will be utilizing these two NZXT fans that are free from some NZXT cases that I've used in the past. And since these are two and there's only single available fan header in the motherboard, I'll be needing these Y splitter so I can run them both at the same speed all at the same time. Also, since there's a USB pass-through as a front panel connector of my case, I'll be utilizing this adapter. So I'll be putting this inside the USB-A in the motherboard, convert it to USB-C, so I can use that USB-C header in the front. While it's gonna be slow, at least I will be able to utilize that. Also, I have this adapter that converts a USB front panel into a USB 2. Now, of course, it's expected that USB 3 should be running in USB 3 speeds, but again, instead of wasting it, I just want to utilize this, so I'll be using this adapter instead. And that's it. This is the Height Revolt 3. For those who know, this is formerly the case that I used for my home PC, but I migrated it out since this case surprisingly doesn't fit my GPU. Now that I have migrated, this case is completely empty and can't be used. So for now, while I don't have my hard drives yet, I'll be utilizing this case. But eventually, I plan to buy a Jonsbo N2, which can house my 5 hard disks. Then I will be creating a ZFS using RAID 5, and I think it'll be good. But for now, I'll be utilizing this, and this should be good enough for me. So phase 1 complete. This is my Homelab. I've tested it and played around with it for a couple of days. But I won't discuss my problems in this video. Instead, I'll have another video for it. But for now, what I will say is about the build. So far the build is easy. It's way easier without any GPU. And also, I was able to confirm that every front panel connection works except the HD audio. You don't need that in a Homelab. And this lights up only, but it doesn't turn on or off because this front panel connection is meant for consumer motherboards, not NAS motherboards. So you need a breakout cable to make this work in this combination. But if I'm gonna transfer it in my Jonsbo N2, it doesn't have that consumer type connection because it knows that mass motherboards connection works a bit different. So no need for breakout cables. And apart from the front panel, which I appreciate because if I don't have this, I will have to put it here under, which is a hassle. So if I want a keyboard, a mouse, and even install stuff, then I can make it work. Though it's just USB 2, at least I've got something going on. This is plenty, to be honest. Apart from that, the only complaint I will have is the built-in CPU cooler. So currently, as I said, I've installed two 120mm fans. Since this is not PWM, I can control it software side, or I can set it automatically. Well, you can set this automatically in a way that you provide lower voltage. The BIOS for this motherboard isn't helpful, isn't intuitive to use, so I don't know how to set this manually or kind of automatically based on the temperature of the CPU. So yeah, it's just constantly running at the highest speed currently. Now, another thing to note is that without these fans, because I tried it without these, it's quieter. However, you'll run into a problem wherein the CPU fan, the ones inside, will produce a sound that's a higher pitch than this constantly running. And that is, in my opinion, more annoying if it just peaks every now and then. Unlike this, it's constantly running. Yes, it's a bit louder than what I'm typically used to with my gaming PC, but at least it's constant. And I'm not that near in this Homelab than in my gaming PC, so I'm fine with it. But the CPU fan is annoying. Again, smaller fans run faster generally, and that means that they'll tend to be louder. So yeah, that's the only stuff that I'm annoyed at and my only current problem with this build. But other than that, this build's solid. But this is just phase 1. Phase 2 will probably happen around July or so, or even May. Let's see how my mood goes. But I'll be adding 5 hard disks, 4 terabytes each, with 1 being parity, and transfer this in a Jonesbo N2. And basically that's it for the hardware, but I will have another video, like I said, for my software issues because I have tons. So that's it.